So, if you're an attorney or a business owner, what's the number one secret to financial planning?
I think there's a lot of planning, a lot of tax planning that you can do, and this is where, building that team. If you have your CPA and your financial advisor really connecting and talking to each other, there's so many strategies that you can do there that maybe a CPA might not know alone and advisor might not know alone, but together they're saving you a lot on taxes, investing really well together. And I think that's key. I think for a business owner, if you can connect those two things, the financial planning and the tax, you're going to be ahead of the game.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time this podcast finds you, welcome to the 10 Golden Rules of Internet Marketing for Law Firms podcast. Actually, a few people have told me they like that intro. So, what I want you to do is I want you to record that intro just on your iPhone and send it to me, or if you have an Android, and try and do the 10 Golden Rules intro. Maybe we'll play them on an upcoming podcast. Anyways, very excited today. We are going to talk about your financial journey. We've got a great expert called Thuong Thien. How did I do that time? Tong.
That's good. Thank
That's
you for
pretty.
having me on.
Before we get to Tong, just a couple quick commercials, if I may. The first one is really, really good. We recorded all of the sessions at TGR Live 2025. We had amazing sessions with people like Mike Morse, Justin Lovely, the AI attorney. We had Ben Leader give a great session on intake, and it's all available for the low, low price of $197. So you can find a link on our blog. Just go to 10goldenrules.com and go to the blog. It's called the Law Firm Marketing Blog, and you'll find a link there, and you can get all the recordings from TGR Live 2025. Now, great speakers and announcements coming for TGR Live 2026, March of 2026. So add that to your calendar, March 15th and 16th. If you're going to join us again this year, we'd love to have you. One other quick commercial. 10 Golden Rules does internet marketing for law firms. And one thing I've never mentioned on these podcasts is we'd love to have a look at your internet marketing. And we'll do a free audit for anyone on this podcast. So once again, just go to 10goldenrules.com. And what we'll do is we'll show you how you're ranking, how your website's ranking, how many search engine keywords your website's ranking for. And we'll compare all that to your competitors. Just go to 10goldenrules.com, fill out the contact form, say, Jay, I heard your podcast and I want to get the free audit. And we'll show you how you rank versus your competitors. We've got a great tool that shows you how you do on Google Maps. So throughout your city, you can see, are you coming up in the top 3 in Google Maps? Or how are you ranking versus your competitors? We show you how you're performing on local service ads, even things like intake, and we audit a bunch of technical things on your website as well. There's all the commercials, Tong, and let's get into your story and learn a little bit more about you. And our topic today, by the way, is Financial Planning 101, building wealth while building your law firm. And Tong's going to get into the 4 key areas. But first, I want to hear a little bit about your story and your background. And so tell us about your background and where you're from and where you're living today.
Thank you, Jay. I grew up in LA and I now live in Alameda, which is a little island across San Francisco.
Great.
And my journey into this profession, I've always known that I really like numbers and I'm more of an analytical person. So when I graduated, I found a job in the finance field and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. But my boss at the time, he took this financial planning certificate course at UCLA. And I thought I would do the same. And when I took the first class, everything made sense to me. Just how our financial life, they're all connected, every single aspect from cash flow to tax to investment. And so I was like, a light bulb went off and I really, really enjoy it. And then I've been doing that since.
That's fantastic. And what do you do for fun?
I like hiking. These days, I'm getting into outdoors rock climbing. I do not do lead climbing, but I do sports climbing. I
That's
take
cool.
my dog on walks. He's a French bulldog. I like seeing him having fun. So I love taking him out to our HOA dog party every Sunday.
That's great. All right. Well, let's get into it then. Let's talk about financial planning 101, building wealth while building your law firm. And there's four key areas. So do talk to me a little bit about, and by the way, Tong and I met on a lawyers networking group, and there's a number of us who work with lawyers. And so I said, financial planning 101, like that is good stuff for particularly for the young lawyers who are just getting started, maybe don't have a financial plan, but also for, we're going to get into some more sophisticated topics today for the experts in the room. Tell me a little bit about financial planning 101, and then we'll get into each of the four key areas.
hmm So I work with a lot of attorneys, and what I found is that attorneys are really good at solving other people's problems. But when it comes to their own personal finances, that gets neglected all the time. And it makes sense because when they're working 50, 60 hours a week, going to trials, putting out client fires, no one really has the time for budgets and spreadsheets at the end of the day. But here's the truth, if you don't focus and get organized with your finances, your money ends up controlling you. So that's why I really focus on helping attorneys focus on areas where they can build their wealth while building their practice.
It's kind of a cliche, but failing to plan is planning to fail. So if you don't have a plan, guess what? Chances are you're going to have much less success. And by the way, you also need a good plan. What's the other cliche? Practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes perfect. So you need a good plan and you need a good planner. And I really like what Tong has to say. So let's get into the first key area of financial planning 101.
Yeah, so the first key area is if you think about as attorneys, when you take on a case, you have an objective, whether that's to win the trial, to get a good settlement for your client, or to protect your client. That's the same with your financial life. It starts with your goals and values because money without direction is like a map without a destination. And I think a lot of people overthink this part that they have some to have some grand goals and accomplish it by a certain date or they feel like a failure. But don't overthink this. Really have some short goals and some rough timeline that really gives you direction. So I have three questions that you can ask yourself or talk to your spouse and go through this together. Start with very simple. What has to happen in the next 1 to 3 years for me to feel accomplished, both personally and financially? And that might be, hey, I don't want to worry about cash flow anymore because cash flow is really giving me stress. I want to figure out a way to lessen that stress. Maybe it's, I want to buy that vacation home that I've always been dreaming about. Or maybe it's taking a vacation with the family. So that's the first question you ask yourself. The second question is just expand that time horizon. What has to happen in the next 5 to 10 years? And then it could be, early retirement or helping your kids buy their first home or college education. So 5 or 10 years. And then the last question is really important as well. It's what does financial well-being mean to you? This is all tied together because that really gives you an understanding of what money means to you. And these three questions are important because when further down in your financial life, you're going to have to make decisions and you're going to have options. It could be, you have really good options or conflicting options. So the objectives, the goals, and the values really help you make those decisions.
And these are the questions you'd ask a new client as well, right?
Yes, very much so. And I helped this client with their distribution strategy. And we go through these goals building and we go through the financial planning where we do what we call what if scenarios. And for this particular client, what if they take more out of their 401k and pension plan versus other assets? What if they sell a second property? What if they give to their son a down payment for his first home? And these what if scenarios, they're visual and they show the client 5, 10, 20 years into the future what their cash flow and net worth will look like if they do these what if questions. And at the end, they had really good options, some conflicting options, but some really good options. And they had a hard time figuring out what direction to go in. And so I said to them, hey, your homework is to go home, discuss with each other the goals you mentioned to me, and prioritize them. And so when they came back at the next meeting, the path was very clear. They wanted flexibility. They wanted to travel. They wanted to be able to help the son with the down payment. So for them, that distribution strategy or options was a lot clearer.
That's great. So the first key area, financial planning 101, building wealth while building your law firm, is understand your goals and talk to an expert about it, because they're going to obviously, like the best consultants, the best business strategists ask great questions. And so Tong's first question is a great question. Understand your goals and values. And then obviously professional can help you with that. Number two, the second key area of financial planning 101 is
Number two is you have to know where you are to know where you're going. And I found that the biggest stressors in an attorney's life is not the complexity of investing, but rather it's cash flow. And it makes a lot of sense because for particularly for entrepreneurs, sole practitioner partners, they have uneven cash flow. And so that puts a lot of stress. And the more they make, the more pressure they feel. And so the key is to find the pattern in your uneven cash flow. And I helped this one client figure out that, hey, the first 6 months, she had really small payments. And then there's quarterly true ups. And the second 6 month, bigger payments, and one huge bonus in December or January. So helping her figure out that pattern really helped us with, hey, let's pay estimated taxes at this time, save up this amount of money, help her reinvest in her firm, and also pay off one big expenses without panic. So that's one side of the coin with knowing where you are is figuring out a pattern to your income. And the other side is expenses. And this is by far the biggest holdup for everybody. No one wants to focus on this tedious work of figuring out their expenses. And the traditional way is, hey, let me print out my statements, go line by line, and then categorize it. And that no one wants to do that. But I have a shortcut. I have a workaround for this. Okay, so over the next 6 months, I want you to run everything through one credit card and one checking account, both you and your spouse, and as much through one credit card as possible. And that way, at the end of 6 months, you just download your year to date report and then you multiply that by two. And that's a good start. That's a really good start to knowing where you stand in terms of expenses. And knowing this really ties to all of the other steps in financial planning. This is kind of the backbone because knowing your cash flow, it ties to how you're able to invest. Knowing your income ties to tax planning and the strategies. And if you're building wealth, it ties to risk management and everything else. So yes, your objectives, your goals and values first, and then understanding your cash flow second.
I wonder if you could do your expenses by using one of the paid versions of like ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude, and then just uploading your bank statements and your credit card, and then just say, hey, give me a summary and categorize all my expenses.
Yes, I actually thought about that before this podcast. And I think one, that is an option, but obviously your data goes out there. But there are probably a lot of budgeting apps and AI things now
Yeah,
that can help you with this. But there are a couple of easier strategies like spending on one credit card where at least it's all the data is
becomes pretty
protected.
clear. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've also helped clients where they wouldn't do a budget when they come to me and it's very hard for them to get started. I will back into it. Like I will take their income and then I will back out certain
Yeah.
expenses. And then if they haven't saved beyond the retirement accounts, then I know they're spending what they're taking home. So there
And,
are other ways to helping people get through this wall of not wanting to do their budget.
yeah. And a lot of the clients both of us deal with are relatively small entrepreneurs from the ownership standpoint. So there's one or two. Typically, a lot of the law firms are Tong and Berkowitz. There's like two owners. And a lot of these guys and gals are not that sophisticated with their finances. And a lot of them have those cash flow peaks and balances, as you talked about. So a lot of our clients are personal injury, criminal, family law, and particularly the PI guys. They'll get one or two huge wins every year. Is that something that you all help with, understanding the cash flow on the business side, or are we getting a little bit out of your wheelhouse?
I have worked with business owners where I really want them to separate out their business expenses and personal. And they may have a credit card that they run everything through, but they really have to break that out and have a business credit card and bank. But I think, yeah, for the most part, I would say when they're an entrepreneur, I work with them and everything's commingled because their business is them. But we have to try to understand the differences because once they stop working, that's another area that, hey, what are the expenses that they have to take on if they can't run this through the business anymore? Because as we know, as business owners, we have a lot of expenses. And so that runs through the business and gets the deduction. But once you're not working anymore, that's going to fall back on you. So it's really key to separate those things out. And I really work with business owners to do that.
Right. Well, we're here with our expert today, Thuong Thien, and we're going through Financial Planning 101, Building Wealth While Building Your Law Firm. We've gone through the first two key areas, establishing your goals and values, like where you are, where you want to be in 1 to 3 years, 5 to 10 years, and even longer in the future, understanding your cash flow and understanding your expenses. And a really good tip to either figure that out with your credit card and bank statements or use one credit card and bank over the next 6 months so you can work with someone like Tom to figure out exactly where you're at. The third key area, I'll turn it over to you, is
This is smart saving and smart investing. So when I work with attorneys, I notice that they tend to have a lot of cash because, as I mentioned, the uneven cash flow and just running a business is difficult. So having a lot of cash feels safe to them. But saving is not the same as building wealth. Saving keeps you safe. Investing grows your wealth and gives you freedom. And when it comes to attorneys, if you have your own business, there's a lot of different ways to save. You could create retirement accounts for your business to shelter a lot of tax. When you are working for a bigger firm and you're a partner, there are so many different saving and employee benefits, whether it's cash balance plans, 401k, health savings, deferred comp. But I really dig into those saving strategies to help my clients. And at the end of the day, they're saving more, they're saving smarter, they're saving on taxes, and it aligns with their goals. So that's the saving side. On the investment side, I think again, people overcomplicate some of these ideas and so I create what I call a bucket investment strategy. So you have a short-term bucket, and that could be for emergency fund. It could be money you want to build up to buy a home or a vacation home for the next year. And then you have a midterm bucket. That could be college education for your kids. And then you have a long term bucket, retirement, for example. So each bucket has a goal, has a purpose. Each bucket has a time horizon. And therefore, each bucket can be invested differently from conservative all the way to aggressive. And so it's a simple framework, but it really works. I have these two clients that I've been working with, and they have very different risk tolerance. One is very conservative, and the other is very aggressive. And so when the market goes down, one of the spouse gets really nervous, has a lot of anxiety.
this is a couple.
This is a couple,
Yeah. So it's
and
one client, husband and wife, or
yeah,
partner.
and it's just they have such different risk tolerance that it creates stress in their relationship. So when we work together, okay, I said this, your deferred comp you're spending on for the next 5 years. So this is conservative. Let's create a conservative investment strategy for the money that you're spending for the next 5 years. And then there's a moderate bucket where that will come next. So that investment strategy is moderate. And then their retirement accounts is something that they're going to spend 10 years down the line. So it's a longer term and it's more moderately aggressive. So even though it's a very simple strategy, it really changed what they have in conflict and anxiety and stress to something that's clearer and they can move forward with confidence.
That's great. I love how you dimensionalize these with a real story. Step number four, the key area number four is building the dream team. So I'll let you
Yeah.
talk about that one.
I think attorneys at this point, you might thinking, oh, this sounds all easy, but I don't have the time for this. Working 50, 60 hours a week, and you're just like, this is not for me.
Wait,
But
wait a minute. Wait a minute. By the way, time out. Which one of your clients work 50 hours a week? I mean, come on. Sorry.
quite a few. All right.
Yeah. The Slack.
But yeah, attorneys, they work in teams too. And attorneys know that you can't get things done alone. They have their assistant, they have their paralegal, co-counsel. So it's similar in your finances. You don't need to be an expert in tax. You don't need to be an expert in investment. You don't need to be an expert in wealth transfer or risk management. You can build a team of financial advisors, CPA, estate attorney, insurance specialists. They will focus on the areas that you're not good at. And so it allows you to focus on practicing law. And a really good financial advisor who is a fiduciary will act as that coach to help you build the team. They'll be your accountability partner to help you move towards your goal. So you don't have to do any of this alone. If all of this sounds really time consuming, this is where you could build a team to help you with every aspect of your financial life.
That's great. I love it. If you don't mind, give us a quick summation.
Yeah.
The Financial Planning 101, building wealth while building your law firm. The four key areas are
The four key areas are start with your goals and values. Just spend 30 minutes by yourself or with your spouse and ask yourself those three questions. Figure out your income and expenses. And if that's hard for you, work with a financial advisor who can help you with that. Smart investing and smart saving, where you can save a lot more and save on taxes as well and invest wisely. And the fourth step is to build a dream team that will help you build lasting wealth.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. So let's look at it from a couple different perspectives. I mentioned off the top, if you're a young attorney, maybe you've had your firm for 4, 5 years. What are the key things that a young attorney should do for their financial future?
So, the first thing is look at your employee benefits. What are some of the available benefits you have, whether it's a 401k, cash balance plan, deferred comp, health savings account, legal insurance? All of these areas will help you save smart and shelter a lot of taxes. So that's the first key area you should look at. And then, of course, the spending side, you want to grow your income and make more money, but at the same time, you have to understand your spending. And then you can figure out what you can do with the excess money.
And how about the other end of the spectrum? We've had some great guests on the podcast talking about exit planning and the later stages of planning for your law firm. If someone wasn't lucky enough to start their financial planning early in their career with someone like you, if you're at that, I'm at the sunset here. I got 5 years left. What are some of the key things they should be doing if they haven't really put a good plan in place?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say is that visual what if scenario, right? A lot of that's my typical clients who they're about 5 or 10 years from retirement. They're like, did I save enough? Did I invest wisely? Do I have things where I should be? Have I thought about all the tax strategies? You really have to do that scenario planning where we take all of your income, expenses, and stress test that. What does that look like 5, 10, 20 years into the future when you retire? Can you live your current lifestyle or a lifestyle that you want to live with what you've built? So, really going through the visual planning part is key for someone who's about 5 years from retirement because it gives them the confidence to actually retire when they do retire. No one wants to go back to work once they retire. And certainly there's a certain lifestyle that they also want to live, or the flexibility or giving to their children is a big, all of these are big items that they probably want answers to before they say, I'm going to stop working.
So, if you're an attorney or a business owner, what's the number one secret to financial planning?
I think there's a lot of planning, a lot of tax planning that you can do, a lot of, and this is where, building that team. If you have your CPA and your financial advisor really connecting and talking to each other, there's so many strategies that you can do there that maybe a CPA might not know alone and a financial advisor might not know alone, but together they're saving you a lot on taxes, investing really well together. And I think that's key. I think for a business owner, if you can connect those two things, the financial planning and the tax, you're going to be ahead of the game.
That's great. I'm going to ask one more question and then we're going to learn a little bit more about you. If you're an attorney and you're like 10, 20 years into your career, what's the number one thing that they wish the younger them knew?
Mm. On finances. That's a good one.
A lot of times people say, if I could tell myself something when I was just starting my business. So what's
Yeah.
the number one thing an attorney mid-level in their career, what's the number one thing they should tell their younger self?
I think start to build your team. I have clients who tell me I should have started with you 10 years ago. And you don't need everybody every single time. It's just resources that you have and trusted advisors that you have to go and get the right advice from at the right time when you need it.
So the
So
team is
a
your
lot.
CPA, your financial advisor, who else should be on the team?
And estate attorney, insurance, if you're buying home, realtor. So just having these resources when you need them. And
Does
they're
it
proactive.
get everyone on a Zoom meeting or meet in person, or this is like a virtual team?
I would say typically the financial advisor would meet, you could have joint meetings with CPA once a year, that year end meeting for some clients, not every year, but once in a while. Other times, a state attorney, if you have a more complex situation. And I just had one where my client she has a son who has special needs and she has two other sons. So it's getting us together and I'm managing the assets. And so how to carve out some of the assets for the son with special needs and who will manage that asset. And so getting together with the estate attorney and even her other sons because they're going to be the trustees. And so typically it's either two people meeting together. It's not the whole team. It's when things happen in your life, you want to connect those people and you want to make sure you engage people who like to connect with your other professional advisors.
That's great. Thanks for that. Now, we didn't talk about this one, but I always like to ask the consultants who work with attorneys because we get to sort of look from the top down and we're looking at the business from the outside in. What's one business development strategy or one business management strategy that you see that the successful guys do, the least successful folks don't? Is there one common trait that you've identified?
I definitely think it's the people trait. And I've been with attorneys who I feel like they have this way of making people feel so comfortable. It's not expertise. They have the expertise, but it's the way they make people feel comfortable. And that's what I've seen a lot of successful people do.
Maya Angelou, it's not what I say, it's how I make you feel. Because all these guys graduated law school.
Yeah.
By the way, what do you call the guy who finished last in his law school?
What do you call it?
Lawyer. Sorry, it's really bad. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
long
we can
as
tell someone who got a C, right?
yeah. Are you familiar with the Simon Sinek TED Talk? What is your why?
Yes, yes.
What's your why? What gets you up in the morning? What makes your heart beat faster?
What's my why? I think I would say, in terms of my profession, it's just alleviate stress. And being someone who I live in the Bay Area, I'm in sort of the generation where I have to worry about my parents as well, building my own career, having my own ambition. And money is stressful. And so I just want to alleviate stress. And a lot of people who feel the stress, the more you make, the more stress you feel. I don't see it being less stressful, but it's because there's no clarity around all the planning items, the goals, the values, the cash flow, the investment, the tax planning. Once you have clarity, it's less stressful.
That's a great one. I always love Tony Robbins' line. He says, the more money you have, the only difference is you arrive home to your stress in a nicer ride. But everybody has stress.
Everything is the same.
Uh,
Yeah, you probably
okay,
have to
great.
do the
Well,
drop offs. Yeah,
I know
you
you
have to.
listened to a few of the podcasts before, so you know that for many years now, 12, 15 years, we've been asking the one-liners at the end.
Mhm.
So what apps or techniques do you use for personal productivity?
For wellness, for
Well,
productivity.
I'm a bit of a productivity geek.
Mm.
I want to get more done in less time and more efficiently. And a lot of times people give me great suggestions for apps or checklists or
I'm really good at keeping track of my calendar. My Outlook calendar, if it's really good. It's just I'm really good at blocking out time.
you block
I'm
time to
really,
do work. Yeah,
yeah,
that's great.
yeah.
You have a personal wellness and fitness routine in addition to the hiking you mentioned earlier.
I don't. I try to listen to Calm once in a while at night. Last night I
Good one.
listened to
Yeah,
Calm to fall asleep, and it's a 15-minute body scan. And that I do that
yeah,
once in a while if I want
that
like to
works
fall
pretty good.
asleep really fast.
Yeah, love it. What are your best business books?
Simon Sinek, as you mentioned, Atomic Habits is one of my favorite ones.
Good one. And are there any blogs, podcasts, or YouTubes that you subscribe to? And when it hits your feed, you stop everything else and listen to?
My feed is very random. And I guess it's the algorithm. I don't have a lot of podcasts that I subscribe to, but I do listen to podcasts and it showed up. And one yesterday was two ladies from Stanford. It's about love, business, and something else. But
Yeah.
it's random.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. In particular, YouTube, I've found has gotten very good at predicting what you want to see next. So, like, I see a bunch of stuff about the Winnipeg Jets hockey team, the Miami Dolphins, poor Tyreek Hill. And then, that I'm going to save a lot of time on podcasts, not listening to Miami Dolphins podcasts and business podcasts and legal podcasts and whatever sports stuff I watched most recently. And the music I like it is a personalized feed for me now. It's kind of like YouTube has TikToked itself and the
Yeah.
feed is great and personal. Do you have an NFL or a sports team?
Oh, I follow three, four. I am originally from Los Angeles, so I follow the
Yeah.
Rams and the Chargers. Now that they've gone to LA in the last few years,
Yeah.
I follow the Niners because I live in the Bay Area now.
Yeah.
And the first NFL game I went to I was an adult already, was the Raiders. So I follow them slightly, even though they went to Vegas.
So you got four all fighting each other out there in the West. That's great.
Yeah.
Two last questions. What's a great introduction for you? If we could send you some business, who would you like to meet?
Oh, that's a great question. A great introduction for me is an attorney who's very busy in their career and their practice, and they want clarity around their finances. And this seems like a burden for them to figure out, and they want someone to simplify it, to make it actionable. So that's a really good for me.
We love simple at 10 golden rules. I mean, hey, the company's called 10 golden rules. All you got to do is follow the rules. And last question, where can people get in touch with you?
On my website, my contact information is on my bio page on the website, teamhewins.com.
Spell it out, please.
Team, Team, Hewins, Hewins.com.
Great. And I'm sure LinkedIn and Facebook, and we're going to put all the links at the bottom of the show notes. So whether you're watching this on YouTube or iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, we'll find it there. Thuong, thank you so much. This was fun and valuable for me too. And I'm going to build my team as I move closer to making some of those more permanent decisions. So I thank you for your time today, and I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you for listening to the 10 Golden Rules of Internet Marketing for Law Firms podcast. Please send questions and comments to podcast@10goldenrules.com. That is podcast@TENgoldenrules.com.